Animation rezero, fourth season, 13th episode. I am very happy, as always, to be back here and watching more, and especially because we have ourselves an extended length episode. I was going to download it, and I noticed the size was much larger than typically, and I was like, what's going on here? It's got to be longer, right? And yep, it's 29 minutes, which we absolutely love to see. So back to some of that, using up as much time as possible, or as that we can fit in, that we've had before. So I'm loving that. Very excited to see what's here and why it warrants us having such an extended length episode. We close off our previous episode with getting a bunch of the melee stuff, bringing her a little bit more back into the group as well, and then slowly having all the cards fall in the right place for Subaru, which is much needed for him and for us as viewers to move past some of the hardships of the tower. But it is not all over yet, as we have to go and conquer the library. We must find a book for Reed. Now, we don't know for a fact if this is Reed's book himself, or if it's going to be books of others that may have some sort of connection in a way that can slowly move up the chains to him, or if it's going to be something where Shala will partake in it and will tell us things and help us because she'll be able to see books of people who are closer to her own time and that she potentially encountered from there. I'm leaning more towards that not being the case, because I don't think would really be too helpful. And most of the things that they say to us or tell us will probably be through Subaru's own perspective, or him being the one involved. So we have to find a valid reason for how that can be approached and why that would be. But I'm excited to see them tackle this. This is literally the idea that I think everybody watching probably had a couple episodes in, which was just, after the Reed stuff failed initially, probably go back to the library and figure out what you can do and figure out a way to beat him from there. And instead we went through a whole memory loss. And I mean, in fairness, literally the next morning after this failure, and they all, had a moment to really think about what's going on, we went through this whole Subaru disaster. So really no time has passed since that last point. It's just the viewers, it feels a little off, right? Like to me, it does, because there's so many episodes apart from each other. But that's okay. We're doing the logical thing, in my opinion. And I'm curious to see what that approach will be. Will they just be lucky enough to stumble upon it, or will it be something that they slowly have to work towards and build towards, and it'll be more entertaining in that sort of way? I hope it's not we just stumble upon it. We spend so much time in the library because it's so vast that randomly finding a book of him, I just feel, would be not right for us to approach and do. But it could be fun. Could be fun if it literally is just there, and then we get another backstory directly for him. I'd also like to see more exploration of the tower, but in a buddy system, as we kind of utilized that in the previous episode with somebody like Amelia, where she was with us, having to always have somebody by Subaru's side in case he kind of just snaps, and especially somebody who's a capable fighter at that, to be able to prevent him from just being whatever this other being inhabiting him is. So he kind of used that last time by having Amelia constantly around while he was handling the whole melee situation. And I'm hoping, once again, that we do that, because then maybe we can retrace some steps unintentionally to him, but explore literally every area and avenue within the tower itself. And maybe even to a certain point, like just force Amelia or somebody to progress past where Rita's and go up and explore what's up there, because it might be able to give us some more clues as to helping the others achieve or reach those points. Like, this is no longer just not that it ever was, but it's not just a Subaru needs to be the one who solves it. Like, this should be collectively and agreed upon by everybody here, that this is a group task that we almost have to do. And similar to how season 2 ended up playing out, I feel like everybody still has a role essentially that they have to play, even if certain ones may not be as grand as others. So maybe we can push down that path. I still strongly believe that's not going to be the case, but I'm always wrong. So I guess we'll wait and see on that one. I may have a hint or a glimpse as to where we might be headed within this episode, just from a screenshot or two that I saw posted on something this morning when I opened my phone. So I'm thinking it might be falling in line with some of the theories and things that I was trying to piece together within the last few episodes here. So we'll wait it out, and we'll end up seeing how that gets kind of brought about and approached. I'm not really gonna think about it too much. I'd rather just let that itself unfold. But if all that proves to be true and exactly what we're kind of expecting, me wearing my REM shirt today, I think would make a lot of sense. So we're gonna see that unfold. We're gonna see that end sequence, I think, of the OP unfold in a way. or maybe not, maybe a variation of it, but who knows? I'm thinking that's the direction. And honestly, I think that's kind of all I got to say. Everything has come together in a nice way, especially with how we wrapped the last episode and what we're leading into, that the theorizing on stuff doesn't feel like it needs to be there, especially at this point. And whatever they reveal to us throughout this episode, I think will inspire a lot more of that sort of discussion. So I am excited for this. Hopefully you are as well. Check the Patreon, early access and timer reactions, plus general support for me. If you like it all, like and subscribe. You want me, feel free to stick around for the discussion, limited comments, this sort of series. Let's get going with the 13th episode of the 4th season of rezero. Makes sense. Makes sense. Also, we're continuing my theory from last time that we're not going to get any more OPs until like maybe for the rest of the season. Oh, it's still him, right? All heads point toward Shala. Shala has been saying that there's no way he died, so. Yeah, that's true. Fair. Really? What are you doing? Yeah, don't you notice everything within this world has been? 400 is a very important number here. Yeah, that's a better word. Right. He's not the kind of guy who would do that, right? Yeah. He's shackled by somebody else's rules. Yeah, that's probably the best way to put it. Be lying if I wasn't a little scared. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, let's have a pep talk. Yeah, that's a different guy. Yeah, but you're still walking. You're still standing. We're not losing faith yet. The best damn thing we got. It's no one else. You're the best we got, brother. You're the best we got. Someone whose appearance it has an effect on, as opposed to Raid, right? Might be a little bit more up to the task. How? Why was it just there? She doesn't like this. Your new parents. Yeah, but it's conveniently working for you. I would argue. Yeah, maybe say them out loud. They'll appear before you. Yeah, whenever this version of him works for this, though. Yeah, I don't know about that, man. As the main character, I agree you're the best option here. That's a good role. Sure, yeah. Yeah, we got 2 of those. So what the fuck are these roles? Yeah. It's like too useful. Yeah. It'd be better with a coat on. What if it's just backwards and it doesn't work right? Back to being silly. Uh-oh. Oh, I was gonna say, I don't think it's gonna work the same, dog. Something about it. Too convenient, you know? Hell of a location. You being there. Hello, Rui. What do you mean by that? Really nailing the arc title down. And we. I'm happy to see Rui, I'm not gonna lie. Yeah, that's true. I forgot you don't know. What did I ever do to you? I wonder if this is where he wound up too, and what causes his mind to fucking break. There you go. Glad somebody called that out, right? Yeah, I wouldn't get it. Or would it shape a person, right? Oh. He's just stuck, like suspended like that? What the fuck? Why? What? Bailey, we could use you right now. Tower. Wow. So you mean to tell me you were capable of all this on the way up here? And we only saw one little thing of it? Knocking at your door. Uh-oh. Ah.
お久しぶりです、姉様。
から何回でここまで来られたの？ねえ、答えてよ、お兄さん。私たちは答えてあげ
Right, right. Isn't it only fair?
たちに食べられてから何回目のお兄さんなの？
That's interesting how that would work for him.
ここでの出来事は外に漏れないから平気だよ。お兄さんと私たちだけの秘密。
5回目だ。
すごい、すごいね。すごいよ。すごいわ。すごいんだってば。すごいからこそ。すごいって憧れるからこそ。ボーイ、ゴーシャス。私たちの経験からすると、食欲と性欲って似てると思うの。性欲ってつまり愛でしょ。
That's some.
私たちはお兄さんの子だ。
Characters in this world love to lecture.
俺の記憶を返せ。さもないと。
首を絞めるの。私たちのか弱い女の子。
Oh wait, you've done it before.
そんなことお兄さんにできちゃうわけ？それでもし夏木スバルの記憶が戻ったりしたら今のお兄さんは死んじゃうんだよ。だってそうでしょ。記憶が戻ったら今の自分に上書きされて下書きは消えちゃう。
Are you okay with overriding who you are and not remembering that,
そ
right?
こまでして夏木スバルを取り戻す価値があるのかな。
何をペラペラと適当に。
記憶が人を形作るんだよ。今のお兄さんには今のお兄さんが作った関係がある。
Only exists for you.
それにこんなこと言ったらなんだけど、夏木スバルって理想的
Not so much from what we've heard or seen.
かわいそうなエミリア。その生まれがかつての魔女と同じというだけで誰からも忌避される哀れな娘。それでも一緒にいてあげる自分はなんて優しいんだろう。弱くて脆いベアトリス。頼れるものもなくたった一人で孤独の時間を過ごしてきた寂しがりな女の子。
何のつもりだ。
夏木スバルが思ってたことの代弁だってば。欲しいのはいつだって優越感。都合のいい連中だけ周りにはべらして手を差し伸べる快感に酔ってる。そんな夏木スバルに本当に今の自分を譲り渡すつもりなの？さあどうする？どうなの？どうしたいの？どうとでもできるよ。どうなっちゃってもいいよ。どうしちゃってもいいからさ。どんな風にしたって許してあげるから。さあどうするのさ、お兄さん。そんなんで大事な選択ができるの？もっと真剣に真面目に本気で自分のことを愛してあげなよ。
俺はみんなともっと。
わかると思う。
Granted an opportunity, didn't we?
じゃあどうしたらいいと思う？
俺のまま。
そう 一度は奪い取ったの。椅子取りゲームだよ。座ったやつがキングなのさ。さあ認めろ。夏木スバルはお兄さんの最も身近な他人なんだ。さあ殺せ、殺そう、殺そうよ。
Eliminate him, become you.
殺して、殺せば殺しちゃおう。殺してやれ、殺してしまえ。
夏木スバル
お兄さんがこの世で唯一の誰の大王。
All there needs to be.
夏木スバルだ。
俺が怖くなって出てきたのが夏木スバル。俺は消えたくない、死にたくない。俺はみんなと一緒にいたい。俺はお前じゃない。お前と俺は。
誰と話してるのお兄さん。誰もいないのに誰と。どうしてどちらか一つだけを選ぼうとするんですか。立ちなさい。立ちなさい。
なんでそんな言葉をぶつけられなきゃなんないんだよ。
立ちなさい。
誰なんだよ。もういいじゃないか。俺は十分悩んだんだよ。
立ちなさい。
こんなに辛いのに、苦しいのに、どうして。
立って立って立って立ちなさい。立ちなさい夏木スバル。立ちなさいレムの英雄。立ち上がれたなら言ってください。言って救ってきて全てを。
全てってなんだ。全てって何なんだ。
全ては全て、何もかも、全部全員、自分も最も身近な他人さえも。
できるのか、そんなことが。
Of course you can.
思ってるのか。
やれますよ。だって
なんだ。力を、答えをくれ。君の言葉で俺に。
スバル君はレムの英雄なんです。お兄さんどうしたのさ。
Just started lashing out.
さっきの続きを。
もう何も言わなくていい。
Ugh.
あと一歩で完全に夏木スバルと夏木スバルを引き剥がせたのに。
なんだそりゃ。なんでそんな真似を。
そんなの同じ人間を二度は食えないから言ってるでしょ。
お前らの目的は何だ。
幸せになることだよ。お兄さんさ、人生が不公平だって思ったことない？生まれは選べないし、親も選べないし、環境も選べないし、未来も選べないし、何一つ選べない。でももし選べたら。だから私たちは探してる。この人生を生きてよかったって思えるバラ色の未来を、その運命の人生に巡り会えるまで食って
Endlessly. Endlessly.
ボーイ
Ugh.
だけど、どれだけ他人の記憶を食らっても死の記憶だけは絶対に手に入らない。
Yep.
ねえ、死ぬってどんな感じなの？きっと辛いんでしょ？苦しいんでしょ？大変なんでしょ？
Can't obtain the one thing that you have.
それも知ってるんじゃねえのか。
それって古いしリアルじゃない。 私たちはもっと生の感覚が欲しいの。新しくてみずみずしい誰も知らない境地。この世で唯一の他の誰にも経験できない記憶。何かを間違ったらすぐ死んでやり直せばいいお手軽さ。自分の最高の人生を見つけた後だって何かの失敗で台無しにする可能性。
But then there's still a chance you run it back and do it, right?
の人生なら
Yeah, yeah.
だからお願い、お兄さんの人生。
Please just let us eat you.
お腹いっぱい食べさせて。
俺の苦悩も俺の死も俺の人生も何もかも俺のもんだ。お前にくれてやるもんなんか一個もねえ。飢え死にしろ食い逃げはん。お前の望んだ通りにはならない。
Just think about how you started the conversation, right?
夏木健一と夏木奈穂子がつけて。
Aw, thank you for adding her.
俺は俺だ。
上書きされて消えるかもしれないのに
魔法の言葉を教えてやる。それはそれ、これはこれだ。
うわー、失敗したよ、しちゃった、したんだ、してしまった、しちゃったから。あとはお兄ちゃんと兄様に任せるしかないのか。
We're not alone
この塔に行かねえと。
about that. What the fuck?
どうするお兄さん。後悔するよ。お兄ちゃんと兄様は食欲旺盛で手段を選ばないから。
Some dangerous guys.
大丈夫。約束は覚えてる。夏木スバルはきっとそれを忘れない。だからきっとまた会える。その時は厳しい声だけじゃなく優しい声を聞かせてくれ。
Awesome.
逃がさない、絶対に、絶対に。
Don't pick out the gumball.
邪魔な記憶は捨てる。あとは全部食べるだけ。これで終わったと思うなよ、夏木スバル。お前の人生は私たちのもんだ。
What the fuck?
いつもそうなんです。
I'm glad we're getting this. I wasn't expecting this.
私はただ愛の重要性を説いて回っているだけ。
What am I doing? That's so wrong.
一方だけどな。
昔はもっとひどかったですよ。
あ
Can't imagine that.
終わりです。私の故郷はそれで滅んでしまいました。私は私以外を巻き添えにしているんだって。
くだらねえな。私はてめえと同じで周りから嫌な目で見られてるやつを知ってるぜ。その姉ちゃんが周りに恵まれてるってのもあるんだろうよ。けどそいつはあの姉ちゃんがまっとうにやってきたからだろうが。
Who could you be talking about?
やつがいるんだ。私はてめえに同情しねえ。てめえは頭のいかれたクソ野郎だ。
Yeah.
おい、なんとか言えよ。
The truth hurts sometimes, you know?
泣き出すんじゃねえだろうな。
いいえ、そんなことはしません
I
よ。
would never.
思っただけです。
何をだよ。
あのバイタの憎たらしさを。
フェルト様、お待たせしました。
Calm her down.
ありましたか？
いや、お前の面見て安心した自分にイラッとしただ。
Yeah.
そんなんじゃねえから気にすんな。
You like having him around.
ほら、座れよ。
隣にですか？フェルト様にしてはおめさ。
うっせえな。しばらくお前を隣に座らせてやろうってだけだ。
Naturally. Episode 13 comes out to a close, and what the fuck? What the hell even happened there? Lots of questions and things for us to talk about. I think this is the more explosion that I was anticipating at the beginning of the episode, before getting into it, that where I said I didn't have like a lot, I think, to really grab onto from the previous one, to theorize on going into this. And I think this opens the door so much more for potential opportunities and things to happen. So in full transparency, as I've said throughout the entirety of the series, that I was going to do if I had knowledge or understanding of something, I knew basically that Rui was involved in some sort of way throughout the arc from the beginning, simply through the light novel covers, through a image I saw of her in the Corridor of Memories, and then people made that like very known come episode 16 of season 3. So I knew that we'd be going there, making an appearance there within this season itself. Now, the actual contents of us being there or here within it, or the understanding of it, or any of that, was not on my list at all. I always, through just knowing the arc name itself, anticipated it to just literally be this like this hallway or this infinite void of a hallway or something where he's kind of in right now, to be something where he gets like transported to or something, and he has to go through it, and he uncovers like a bunch of the things of the past or memories and such, like almost like a Mario 64 type of thing where he goes through like paintings and he like picks up on stuff. I was thinking it would be something like that. And then when we got into the whole amnesia stuff that was happening, which I wasn't aware of going into the season was going to be a thing, I started to theorize on my own, well, keeping it under wraps a little bit because I wasn't going to say all that on here just yet, that potentially when we do get to like a location like this, that would be what actually happens. Now, that doesn't seem to be the case. Now, potentially, now that everybody has the same sort of knowledge that we're working with, I guess there potentially could be something along those lines, but just doesn't seem to actually be what's going to be happening there. I just thought that was a cool concept that potentially was what they would actually do. But really cool. And I'm glad that we do get to see Rui, and I am not surprised at all that we get to see Lai, and I assume that we'll see Roy at some other point, unless Roy is the split version of Rui that we actually get to see towards the end of there that happens. So maybe there's another, or maybe it's literally just her and she splits and then they take control or form of something else. I don't know. I don't know what's going on there, what's happening, or how any of those things work. So we'll wait and see. We'll wait and see where all of those go. But this episode was absolutely brilliant. This is top 3 of the season thus far. The big 3, the big 3 as we call it, as good as episode 8 was, because episode 8's fantastic for what it does, and honestly all the following ones do a really good job too. I still think as of right now where we're at, and we'll discuss this at length when we finish out the season itself, but right now episode 3, 11, and 13 I think reign supreme at the top of my list for just the crazy emotions that I felt like I had to go through each of them for what was happening. 3 was just insane from front to back of like not anticipating any of that stuff to occur. 11 was just such a high in like just emotion and care for Subaru as a person and a character, bringing so much out of me, making me tear up throughout the entirety of it. And I still can't watch it to this day without me tearing up or crying a little over it. It literally happens every time it gets worse. I feel like I go back and watch it. And then this episode, absolutely fantastic with throwing such a loop for where we go, what Rui's trying to do, what's happening, making a lot of sense that, they were potentially involved and the reason for the loss of memories there, but just throwing it at random instead of going into Reed's book, we see them. And then the sudden Rem appearance, which really did make me really emotional when it came up. And I think it's just for a variety of other reasons too. It's like we've seen this arc of Subaru going through feeling like he's going to give up on everything and he can't continue forward. Nobody believes in him. He can't even believe in himself. He still wants to be him, but he wants to live this normal and better life. And as a result, he has somebody, instead of letting him run away from all of that and instead of letting him take what potentially could be the easier way out, really has to let him know the things that she sees in him, has to be the one who pulls him and makes him stand up and is there by his side in those sort of moments to inspire and instill some sort of hope into him as a person, but for him to provide that and give it to others and be that hero that he's probably had to basically become throughout the entirety of this and really manifested itself within the 3rd season. it just is so awesome. It's such a strong flashback, or just callback in my own mind to episode 18, especially with him being down and destroyed, and then having to hear such like positive affirmation from her to be able to be the thing that brings him back and gives him that strength that he needs to be provided with. And we get that all over again here, especially in such a dark moment of really questioning himself and who he is and what he's going to continue to be, what he will be that remains in and lives within the heart of the others. It's truly beautiful for me to be able to get out of this. Like I absolutely adore that, and that's why it meant so much to me, especially throughout that. Looking back, I wish I would fucking stood up and was proud about it, but I was fighting back the tears as it was coming. It's a little much there. Fantastic stuff though. And a immediate attitude shift that now results in the tower itself just kind of being attacked and overly destroyed here, which also presents so many opportunities for questions and things to be brought about. So we're just going to take it little by little here, I think, as we go through the episode and discuss things that I was thinking at the time, as well as where I find myself to be at now. We spend the whole first half here basically setting up a little bit of us going into Reed's book, trying to understand, is he actually dead? Is he not? Shala's been saying that she didn't think that he could die. It seems like he is. What is this version of him that we're actually seeing here? And those are good questions for us to be able to have. I love Amelia's little moment here of saying something and getting excited about being called out for her odd phrases. She's always had those reactions whenever he calls her Chan instead of Tan, which I think is really funny. And now being able to have like a positive one instead of being like a little upset about it over something that he says, still being like the same sort of person within, is really cute. Fun to find out everybody else is so old. What the hell is she doing? I don't know, man. I love that relationship they got going on there. Everybody else around us so much older though. So the next step is for us to go on up. I don't know why when they went up these stairs, it really reminded me that we were going to go up to see Reed, and that's actually what I was thinking at the moment. And I was like, why are they doing that instead of the library? That makes no sense. And then especially because we were having this Julius talk, I thought that we were really ramping up to do so. It doesn't seem to be the case. Nice little conversation between the two, especially letting them know like that was that, but this is this. Like they're separate at the end of the day, and especially even the two conversations that the two of them shared between it, the emotions and the things that he went through with his failure and everything from before, as well as the confrontations that him and Subaru have had to have. But even being able to see the being that resides within it, the being who doesn't know Julius to be a failure in any sort of way, doesn't know Julius to be a quitter, and can only view him through his general appearance and his looks, right? This is something that we deeply talked about within his self-titled episode, which he is upholding this appearance of what he believes the greatest knight to actually be. It is something that in a actual sense he could not ever achieve strictly through the fact that Reinhardt exists. And what can you do to be able to still have some sort of place or stand at the top of the pedestal on a certain level? Well, it's you basically have to act out a sort of way, present yourself and be that. It's a constant battle that we've gone over and over, why a version of Julia actually has to exist, why you can let this sort of perfect night charade drop if you need to. You can just be yourself. You don't have to always be on guard. You don't always have to be on duty, right? You can look the other way, you can act out a different type of way, which has been a constant Subaru has kind of tried to press into it. And even being pressed by Ritu as we've gone through this, and being dissatisfied with Julius's sort of appearance for the way that he upholds it, the way that he proudly is happy with his own title of it. And instead of just being a free being, one who doesn't feel restricted in terms of having to have these graceful movements and act out a type of way in terms of combat, and instead he could just free flow and become unleashed completely, which is what it seems to be Reed thinks he'll actually be or can be. He even gets a few of those moments where instead of using like his sword or acting in a typical manner, he landed a few kicks, or like he did something like interesting with his legs, and Reed was like, oh, hold on, now things are a lot more interesting, and then immediately reverted right back to it, right? This is a negative, not a good thing. And he's constantly had this like instilled in him throughout this now too, of him trying to uphold the title or be something when everybody else is telling him, no, that's not the way it needs to be. And then also having to deal with and battle the failures consistently that he's had of losing to him, of losing the memories, of not even really being sure of himself anymore, and having that uncertainty and him wavering a little bit in these moments, being able to hear from somebody who has no sort of attachment or knowledge of any of these things actually occurring, telling you that they truly believe in you, telling you you need to believe in yourself to be able to do this. If you don't believe in yourself, nobody else will, right? That's exactly the saying that always comes about. And it's even as true as it can be here. Try and find a little bit of that confidence, try and be proud of yourself and your way of doing things, and know at the end of the day that there's no way that you can lose, right? As he says, my eyes have not witnessed that, right? Which is the opposite of what we get in that conversation in the first episode of him letting him know, like, I bear witness to you and the strength that you have and why I need you by my sort of side. He even says that again, I think within the self-titled. It's just a constant that he's had. So now we have a version who doesn't has these expectations solely on the way that you choose to carry yourself. And I hope that really is that inspiration that he really needed to get going. And it's not going to be easy. It absolutely isn't. He's literally complete halfway nerfed, right? 50% nerf here without his spirits. But at the end of the day, I believe in him. And I think this sets up the groundwork for the Julius Reed battle, which I think was fully anticipated by everybody with a brain, to be like a climax thing that'll come about within this arc. And I think that it also sets up opportunity for us to potentially go down the path of us putting an end to gluttony or doing something. And I don't know the mechanics and I don't know how they work. We have these little orbs and everything that we see, but doing something, especially we get to see the one at the end, and we'll talk about that. But being able to utilize that potentially as something where we are able to put a stop to them or defeat them prior to Julius actually resolving his own bout, which even in moments of potential failure that he's about to be going through and getting his ass kicked, he could maybe regain his spirits and actually utilize those to help him out, or be that final push at the end to really let him unlock that and become something interesting for Reed to have to actually battle. And I think that would be a fun little moment to come about where everything just like recalls back to him or begins to start working. And then you could really see the unleashed version. He's literally playing, like I said, as half of himself almost here. I think there's strong opportunity for this to be really cool. Praising her like that's your fucking daughter is hilarious. And we find his book right away, which to me I would have had an issue with, right? And this is what I always said it in the intro, I said it in the last episode. This would just be lame if we just walk in there and it's just there, or it would be lame if we just find it pretty easily. Like, where's the obstacle? Where's the hurdles that we have to go through to be able to obtain and understand the things that we need to actually conquer him? Well, how about we just fucking turn it into something completely different and don't let you actually go into the book? I think that's a great idea. I think that's awesome. Turn it into something else. This is fun. His little silliness of actually giving people some titles. The verbal abuser is great. Just messing around a little bit. Keeping things a little light too, because you know how serious everything's about to have to get. So he takes this opportunity and he jumps on in, which does not transport him where you'd expect it to be at all. I am really curious why this didn't happen, and I don't think I have a grasp on it. My general guess, if I had to make one, would be, I guess I would have two different ones. The first one would be, this is not even a real book for him, and this is a trap or something that is essentially like created or set through Rui as a way to allow him to kind of like come in here and experience it, which I think would call back exactly to maybe what had happened prior to this. And when he actually lost his memories, is he found a book of the same sort of thing, or he found a fake book or something like that, where he goes in to read these memories that may be void even, and at that point is not able to actually like access them or get to them, or that's just like some sort of like trick that actually transports him here. The other thing I was thinking, which I think might be more likely, is Reed is somebody who potentially fell victim to gluttony, or fell victim to something where he has a loss of his own sort of memory. And as a result, when we try and go into it, because gluttony is the one who possesses it, it brings you to them as opposed to that person of what the memory is. I don't know why that just works in my own head, which is why he would be able to be transported here. And it would also mean that it's not limited solely to Reed himself as the being that can kind of be the entryway into the hall corridor of memories here. So I think that that's maybe more likely. Those are just the two things I think that immediately come to mind. I'm not sure if I can even think of one that would be different or why it would be. Uh, yeah, no, I got nothing. Nothing, nothing comes to mind. I think those would be yeah. And we're here, and it's fucking awesome. I really like the backgrounds constantly swirling and moving throughout all of this. It really adds a lot more to it. It's like when you're watching like a video or something, and I don't do this on mine because I'm lazy, but like it's like when you're watching something and you just get like a slow zoom into something, or you get like a fast one and you pull out or something. It keeps it more like engaging as it's actually happening. So instead of having like these flat set pieces or backgrounds, be able to have some sort of patterns and movements and things going on within it, so your characters can kind of remain relatively still, and no matter which angles or things you try to use to frame the entire conversations, it actually always feels like something's moving and going on within it. And it makes it feel like the environment that you're within here is fully alive, which is awesome. You guys sound like some absolute evildoers. Rue's great. I love her. She's awesome. Her switch up into becoming like Subaru a little bit later on was fantastic in terms of the voice acting. I thought it was great. She's fantastic and just even switching it up alongside herself from being like super adorable and cute to just kind of being kind of creepy and scary with the things she says, which I think is nice. So she's absolutely nailing this role thus far, and then letting him in on the hint slightly. I know you better than anybody else, right? At the end of the day, we're still you in a way. I don't know what happens here. So she gets pushed and then her eye rotates out. I thought that they were going to be different. It's the same exact eye. When she at first went there and went blue, I was like, oh, I wonder if it was a green or something before, and I didn't notice. And then now she's like switching, and it's like she's cycling through, like to another gluttony or something that she could be in this moment, and they're all like inhabited into the same body, but it doesn't seem to actually be the case. It just seems like it's her. Maybe he just pushed her back and knocked her out, or maybe it's like a split in the personalities that they have, and that's why we get to see at the end she's capable of splitting, because she can act out as a type of way, whereas the other one has to like come to life or take over or do something, and that's why she's choosing to claw up on herself here. I don't know. We also talk about this is the Cradle of Odd, the Ragna, which I don't have a clue as to what that is supposed to mean or anything about this, or even the mechanics of how the environment itself works. She kind of explains it a little bit of just saying souls themselves are filtered and they take all the garbage out. In Subaru's mind, that's the memories and all the things. It just removes it and creates like this pure thing that they can then kind of fill up with their own sort of new memories or things. I don't know if it's necessarily that way. I mean, I guess it is because the characters in world are assuming it is. But to me, it more so just seems like we can get rid of like any sort of negatives or impurities that we viewed to be on it, and maybe that potentially is everything that comes along with it. But it just seems like something where almost like in a dark and gross kind of way, where like when somebody passes, like you choose to only think of and remember fondly upon the good and positive things of the person, and maybe not even like necessarily any like negative or evil things or whatever it is that they've done, right? You tend to reflect on all the good things and the legacy essentially that they're able to leave behind, that positively influenced or impacted those around them and what that meant to you as opposed to everything else. And it kind of like feels that sort of way. Like we give you like this pure hero-esque sort of story that we can give, or soul that we can kind of taint and create in a location like this. You go to the heavens, you're no longer harbor any of these negatives or these sins or these things within you, and instead you became this like ideal, pure sort of being. And maybe not. Maybe I'm going a little further there with it, but that's kind of a read that I think I almost get on it. Some things that happen throughout here, I'm a little left confused on. We cut immediately to Shala where they feel the rumbling of what's coming to the tower, and we immediately have to go into defense mode for why all the mob beasts are coming here. I don't know. And this opens up a large variety of questions. Also, fantastic shot here, going all the way throughout the tower and giving us this from below as everything's going about spinning, and she's going into tower defense mode, which is fucking sick as she unleashes her new ability, which is even scarier than what we actually had before. I'm questioning because we're still wondering potentially about like rules of the tower and things that are happening. And we still also see at points later where it looks like the tower itself is almost this living being. And even if it's not the tower, it's something like that. It has to act out in a way. And it was like self-destructing. It felt like at certain points within a few of the different moments that Subaru was going through with death. Is this potentially why it was being targeted in a way and all these things were coming after it? Why are they being controlled or utilized in a way by gluttony? Is it because there's unauthorized sort of like intruders or guests or people being within it, which is where the gluttonies are occupying it from? And when we end up getting to see later, like lie walking around, like that is kind of being a trigger in itself. I don't necessarily know, because the conversation they have right before this is just what happened with the memories, and then it immediately triggers her, which I don't know. Also, him just being stuck in like this sitting suspended animation is fucking hilarious to me. Nice job having this just peel back and look who's waiting there. Crazy. Immediate anger coming out of Ram. So this means you came here yesterday too, right? How many times does this make it? Trying to figure out about the amount of deaths, wanting to be the one who controls it or experience something that nobody else can. And it takes it away, right? If you're dying and I know that you can, and I've experienced that too, I'm no longer one of a kind. I'm no longer the only one who can. So trying to do something to be able to separate that and create your own sort of being that will, I think is a funny little thing. And I like the way that she approaches this entire conversation about it, of trying to manipulate him strongly into believing that it's smarter for him to do this. And it is a real thing, right? It's something to discuss and talk about. And funny enough, I think relates to something I want to talk about with Rem later too, where in this situation, we have these different versions basically of Subaru that are living or have their own sort of memories. And a lot of times with these things, it's not like you mesh, right? It's not like you're going to retain all of this and you're going to still be this version, but then you're going to be able to regain or like gain all the memories of the other person and be like this ultimate version that just recalls everything, right? The one that we know him to be because we've seen every single thing on screen. And it also isn't going to be the flip the other way around, where like the other one is going to take over as being primary, but he gains all the things that happened in the moments of him losing his memory. Instead, it's literally going to be one or the other, right? It's either going to be you continue to live on, make your relationships that you've been building up and everything with all these people actually become a reality and be your own life going forward, or you're going to be able to try and play the hero in this situation, but lose yourself, right? You have to die and disappear in the process, and everything that has happened and you've suffered through and gone through in this time is actually going to just go away, and he's going to come back and be like, oh shit, we did it. What does that mean, right? It's not going to be like a combination almost of the two. And it's a real thing for her to actually bring up here. It strongly feels manipulative, but at the same time, I don't think it's wrong for you to say, right? Really allowing this person who doesn't know what the other Subaru is, even though it is still the closest stranger to him in a way, to now have to reflect on the fact that like I'm going to disappear and I'm essentially going to die at this point. Is that something I want? Am I okay with that? Am I that much of a hero that I'd be willing to accept that, right? And know that my place here, I don't belong here. I'm trying to just almost like poorly act out as though I am somebody else that I am not, or somebody else that I do not recognize, even though it is me. It creates such a weird thing that I can understand his own hesitation in this moment for it. This is hilarious, just bringing up all the other versions, or the other version of himself and his own thoughts about the people around him and that he surrounds himself with, and trying to paint him as like this awful person, right? That's just what he thought. He's always thought he's superior. Really great blending here as they transition back over to him, but let's like 2 and 1 there. Really cool. Step aside for someone like that? No. And then immediately grabbing him and be like, do it. I want you to fucking kill me. Awesome. And it works so well too, because we get to see the thing later where she splits, so she's still there, so it's okay if I die because I still have the other side. So it's like it's fully it's okay, because then you can do your thing, you can become one, and then after you become one, I can do what I need to do to you, which is fucking hilarious to me. Although that doesn't work at the end of the day, right? Like logically speaking, she consumes the memories, he dies at a certain point, he respawns, and then he becomes a new version. So like, I just, isn't he stuck in an infinite loop where he's always going to have to come back and just become the version that we keep seeing here, or he's going to keep coming back and having to like regain new memories over and over and over again. So like essentially end of episode 7 Subaru is kind of what we're going to constantly be getting regardless of what she does in the situation. Like it just feels like it's a lose-lose. Like she could never, maybe I'm misunderstanding the mechanics or her own thought process of this wrong, but it just feels as though she could literally never win in this sort of game because of his own ability and what he actually has. Now it does grant her the thing that she was desiring, right? Which is a experience or a thing that nobody else has. But had this become the Subaru that comes back again, you're no longer going to have the most up-to-date, fresh, beautiful death for you to experience and only you to have. It's going to change completely. So I don't know. Maybe I got that. Maybe I'm off on that, but yes, I want to be with them, or I want to be not comfortable giving up yourself and everything that you've actually had. Acknowledge it. Kill him now. So that you are the only one. You're irreplaceable, right? Can't be another one until the footsteps come on. And who the hell is that thinking that it's going to be himself that he's going to have to confront, trying to overtake or being ready for it, but instead having to challenge that. And instead we look up and it's a rough feeling almost from him, right? It's the feeling of, I know you, but I don't know you, right? Something in me, my body is reacting or feeling a type of way. This is a core or deep thing within me. It's unsettling almost. Why am I reacting? Why am I feeling like this? When I actually see this person, why are the words and the things they're saying impacting and affecting me so much, although I do not know them, which I think is fucking awesome. Stand up. And those types of things I like, right? Like I don't even mind. I know people hate the amnesia plot lines, but a lot of the times, like if you can do them and then the people just get their memory back in really convenient points, like I really like them. I'm a sucker for them. I don't even care. I'll be that guy who says it, you know? So when we have a moment like that where it's like something so unsettling and you feel and you're like, no, there has to be a connection to this person in some sort of way. Like, yeah, I don't care. I love that. You know, I think that's fucking awesome. Stand up. Just pushing him to do it. You're a hero, right? Go save all of them, all of it. Everybody else, you, Tower, whatever else you gotta fucking save. And you can do it simply because of that title, right? Because of who you are. Natsuki Subaru. And when he hears the name too, the reaction that he had over it, the shit sends him into the fucking stars. I don't even know what that, that was about, but good shit. She withers away, a part of you. I love Rue's little breakdown here too. I thought we had him. Freaking out over it. We're just one step away from tearing the Subarus apart. Can't eat the same person twice. Searching for that wonderful sort of future. And constantly, it's a thing you're never going to be satisfied with. You're going to constantly just keep doing it over and over and over. It's never ending. And it's really sad that that's actually the mindset you have to have here. What does it feel like? But you do know, but it's not the same, right? Please let me do it. It's so funny. It all belongs to me. Don't owe you anything. I'm okay with losing it all, right? And as he says, right? That's one thing. This is something else. Like, yeah, that's going to happen, but we got other things we got to do first. We're worried about other shit right now. We're on a different page than you. I messed up. Letting them know there's more. They're going to be even worse for you to have to go up against here. Those are the fighter types. You know, she's just here to manipulate and talk. Sure, he'll never forget it. And then coming out, and I like getting a little bit of flashbacks of what actually happened with them, the conversation that they had, a little bit glimpses of it. And then this is where she pulls out the fucking memory ball, the gumball right out of her. I'm going to just assume this is like the REM memory, right? We make it a point, even in black and white, basically, to, or even like super dull color, I guess, to really make the blue pop and highlight itself throughout this, as well as throw it really far away from us and behind us, that it makes a lot of sense that that's like a memory orb almost of REM that for whatever fucking reason decided it wanted to manifest at that moment and help out Subaru. I think that that makes a lot of sense. Now I do question and I do wonder if the little like feather almost that we see of her is just like the grasp that you had of her is going away, or if it's a situation where like that's the actual orb or something and it just like transitioned into something, because like feathers and birds and doves and everything have been so like symbolic throughout the entirety of the series itself, and it's like showing or referencing something of like this is her memories or something, and it like either faded away or it like seeped into him. So seeped into him like he holds them now, which I think he would have had a reaction, or I guess we'll find out right away in the next episode if he did or not. And he somehow is able to inhabit them. I kind of doubt that, but maybe. Or if it's literally just like the being that was her that was completely thrown away and discarded by Rui in the situation is now void and no longer, which would be something that I think supports a lot of like more realistic sort of things of what I would expect. Like if somebody goes into the state that she's in for the longest time, for her not to just wake up and be the same normal person. And it seems as though we're kind of removing all of that, and we're just going to either leave her in a situation where even if she can awake, she's going to just be kind of this empty shell still, or she's just going to be like starting from zero essentially. That's the vibe I get just off of that, which I kind of even hope does happen. Weirdly enough, I think that makes for her to be a more interesting character than to plot and or slot her in a everything's back to normal and good and we got her back, because this really feels like a finale in a way. And I'm talking about the arc and as itself. A real encounter with the gluttonies, a real bunch of lore drop at a place so close to Satella being sealed, with beings that have connections directly to her, those that we have had before, and encountering those who have done all wrong to us and trying to undo that by potentially defeating them, slotting us in a spot where we're just kind of accomplished and completed almost by the end of this, at a spot where like you could end the series almost here. Now I know there's plenty of other questions and things we did, but say we didn't set some of those other things up in the other seasons, or there was like less witch cultists and stuff, we could potentially use this as like a stopping point almost, which is why like it's really interesting to think about where they would go from here after the fact. But I guess that's a discussion for the final episode of the season that we'll have, similar to what we did with season 3. But it really does feel like this could be closing chapter on the entirety of the series, and it would make sense to end it there. But I guess then you give Grand happy ending and Rem's the same. So maybe it doesn't work my same sort of way. But I guess it does work, because if you're going to continue, you essentially have to like restart or build up from the ground. So allowing that to be the being that does, or is alongside the journey to do so, would be cool. Yeah, I don't know. That's what I'm thinking though. I think that's going to be all. That's going to be all from me. I thought that was fucking fantastic, and I'm excited to see what that leads us into. I think we're really setting up Julius Reed to be something that'll come about after we overcome and conquer a little bit more here. I don't really know what else is going to go down. I don't know how we go about and worry about defeating Rui. That seems like a Subaru thing to do, but I just don't know in what actual fashion he would do so. Rui not being brought into this almost as a fighter, or not feeling like she directly would be, because like let's think about the other gluttonies. Every time that we immediately get introduced to them, they're super dangerous in terms of killing and hurting. No, I guess Rui was, because she fucking completely destroyed Otto and his shins. Because I was gonna say she seems different, so she doesn't seem like we would approach that the same sort of way, which is why Subaru would work so perfect, because he's not the fighter type either. Where's Roy in all this? We got to figure out too. Is he just like another version of Rui that's kind of there because there's the split, or is he somewhere else just hiding out? Is he on a floor we haven't gotten to or something? Like, what is he the charge that's being led for everything else to come up and try and attack the tower? I don't know. Seems like Amelia and Rom versus Lias being set up too in a way. and maybe not. Maybe it's just initial encounter that they had, but it feels as though that could make a lot of sense, which would work for Rom's sort of perspective, because she's going to go against the person who kind of took her sister, even though she doesn't directly know that, but can quickly, I'm assuming, uncover from this. And Amelia being alongside just for extra like support and actual like attack power would make a lot of sense too. Yeah, I'm intrigued. I don't know what the role of everybody else that plays in this, but I guess theirs is just tower defense, while the others are kind of working with their own storylines and things within the inside of it. So we'll see where all of that goes. That is it from me for episode 13. Thank you very much for joining. It's been a long day for me. I am exhausted by the end of today, but that's okay. That is okay. And I'm excited to come back next week for more. Next week's episode should be out a little earlier, because I'll be around throughout that day as opposed to doing it late at night. And I think even the week after should be the same too. So you might get those couple hours earlier than these, and then going forward after that, you'll probably get them all later again. But we're working with what we can. We're doing what we can. So thank you very much for joining. Check the Patreon for early access and timer reactions, plus just general support for me. Hit the like and subscribe. And to me, feel free to check the stuff in the channel, leave comments with this series. I'll be back for episode 14 of the 4th season of ReZero next week. I've been Grizz, and thank you once again for joining. Hopefully I see you guys there. You have a good one. Peace.